Welcome back, Nerdiverse, for another thrilling episode of MOTN Figured It Out, where your friendly neighborhood collector Mike G gets to talk about his favorite thing in the absolute world, which is figure collecting. If you like this content, please feel free to leave us a like, to subscribe, and also to um, leave a comment on where you may be finding this episode. May it be live right now on YouTube, or may it be live on Twitch, or if you're watching this in the future, show us some love, help us build our community. On this humid and heated Saturday evening, we're chilling out and talking some figures. There's some surprises to this evening in regards to announcements, and we're just going to be overall just chilling, taking our time. This is, like I said, a live episode. So if you would like to, feel free, drop by, say hi. I'm just a collected man with some coconut water and figures to talk about. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into our episode. Let's go ahead and just get it going. So, tonight we have hit episode 20. We hit the big 2-0. Very proud of the work that's been done for this show. This is a milestone, so I do not want that to pass. Episode 20, The Wanda, is the name of this episode because we have one major announcement and one big release that will be respectfully the in art Wonder Woman. Yo, Bradley, what's good? Thank you, sir, once again for being here and keeping me company on this Saturday evening. We're just talking about what we're going to be discussing this evening, sir. That is the in art Wonder Woman, I think based off of Batman v Superman, as well as the release of the, I believe, Iron Man 2 version of Black Widow, the artisan version. So we got some crazy bangers this evening. So with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and jump in to our figures this evening and have a good discussion. Feel free to ask me anything. I am an open book. So, one of the first announcements we received this week was a brand new Peacemaker. I missed you yesterday. It came on. Y'all came in at 6. I thought it was 7 for sure. I'm locked in. Oh, no worries, sir. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for watching the past episodes. This is how we win. You know what I'm saying? Yes, MOTN Masters of the Nerdiverse podcast does go live Friday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, whereas here on my channel, MOTN Figured It Out, we go live at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Wanted to try the later evening, and it has helped out. It's helped out with visibility as well as participation. So I'm all for that. That being said, we got to talk about this invisible figure that I just can't see because no one can see him. John Cena as Peacemaker once again for Peacemaker season 2. Definitely initial thoughts on this figure are that I think it's, if they have the license, they're going to do it. And John Cena is a big enough face to warrant a second figure, even though it's, I would say, really close to the original. Excuse me. The original Peacemaker that came out, I want to say, a couple of years ago. Gotta drink my coconut water here. With definitely some improvements. The head sculpt looks new. He looks a bit more older as John Cena. It has gotten older. And it comes with some new weapons that I guess are going to be showcased in the new season. My initial thoughts on this one is that, yeah, it's good to get another Peacemaker, even though, like I just said, it doesn't really look much different than the original. But yeah, I mean, and I'll go into it further when we talk about what I recommend is what I buy this. But I will say that if you're a John Cena fan, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, when it comes to 1/6 scale, it's going to try to look as realistic as possible. And if you want a tiny Cena in your collection, you can't. This is probably the best figure you're going to get ever. Just based on the image to the left of the screen, it looks like he comes with rolling eyes, which is pretty standard. He comes with two different face plates, a jetpack. Now we saw in episode 1 of the new season, Eagly, two different versions of Eagly, which is pretty cool, which is his pet eagle. And one thing I wanted to put in a RoboCop data spike. I don't maybe they just did that because of RoboCop. I don't know if that's a comic book thing, but he does have the data spike from RoboCop as well as axes, and the gun is a big thing. I want to talk about the gun when we dig a bit deeper into this figure, which we're going to do now. So, one thing I would like to point out is that with the original Peacemaker, which is really interesting, is that you didn't get his giant Desert Eagle right off the bat. The Desert Eagle was kind of stuck to the character in his hoister, and you had to kind of jerry rig it um, out of the hoister, like with like a heat gun and stuff like that. It was kind of crazy that you had to kind of it didn't come with the actual um, gun. You had to kind of pry it out. RoboCop data spike is crazy. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's a comic book thing or if that's just like something they thought was cool and they added it to his kit. Um, so the gun is crazy. I'm guessing the little jetpack on his back is magnetic. You just slap that on. He comes with additional tongue so you can make him look going crazy. It looks like a very expressive figure, and I like figures that can look like they'll be cool in the action pose. So I do like the expressiveness. It is a cloth suit, so you'll be able to get him in some more dynamic poses. But the tricky part is that the seamless arms are silicone, and silicone is very delicate. So you can't go too crazy on the arms, but I think that this figure is pretty solid. What I recommend is when I buy this for good old John here, Mr. Peacemaker. If you missed out on the first Peacemaker that went around, maybe like a year or so ago, 2 years ago, then this is a no-brainer. If you're a John Cena fan, it's funny how there's a whole different side to the collecting where people will buy a figure not because it's a character, but because it's the actor. One big one was the Dwayne the Rock Johnson as Black Adam figure that sold like hotcakes only because it was Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Everybody knows that the Black Adam movie was like dog water, was really bad, but it's the most realistic likeness of the Rock you're going to get anywhere, so people bought it anyway. I think that this figure is going to have the same kind of pull, especially that clean John Cena head sculpt, because you could pull that off of this figure and pretty much just plant it on another figure. You can plant this on another body. You can do some things with that head if you wanted to make a wrestling John Cena, or if you wanted to make him from another one of his films. You could just do that because that's a clean enough image of him as a human. So would I recommend this? Absolutely. I think it's a clean figure. I like that it comes with different axes and swords and different kind of accessories. I like when they actually make it feel like it's a lot. It comes with multiple different ways to present him, maybe helmet on, helmet off, stoic, battle ready, going crazy with the tongue out. I'm a big fan of 1/6 scale pets. I love Goose from Captain Marvel. I'm saying I'm getting the Superman because Crypto comes with it, and I would get this guy because Eagle comes with it. And why not have a 1/6 scale bald eagle? So, in my opinion, I would absolutely get this if it fit my collection. I'm not that big of a John Cena fan, and I'm not that big of a Peacemaker fan to add it to my collection. So I wouldn't personally purchase this. But that being said, I couldn't kick it out of bed for crackers. I think this is an excellent figure, um, and I think it would make a very good addition to your collection. But the other thing I guess I can mention is that I like to pair my figures with other figures. So who would I pair this with? I mean, the Harley Quinn's coming down the rope. So if you wanted to do a Suicide Squad kind of thing, even though this is not the film accurate suit, you can pair him with a Harley Quinn or even pair him maybe even with Superman. They're in the same universe now. So you can pair him with a Superman. Maybe we'll get some other Peacemaker figures like Vigilante or what are the maybe some other characters from the series, from this new season. So yeah, I'm very high on this one. I think this is going to be a banger, and I think it's going to be a sleeper figure. Um, Especially if they dial in that head sculpt. He does look a little bit old, but yeah, but that was my question exactly. Who to pair it with? That's my biggest gripe with it, Bradley, is that I don't know. Maybe a Superman, maybe a Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad. You could pair him with those two. He's not strong enough to stand on his own as like a shelf stealer, so he needs to be with somebody. But those would be my two go guesses. Is the new Superman that's coming out from the film, and maybe Harley Quinn. That's who I would pair him with, if I had to pair him. But it's kind of forced, and I hope they come up with some other Peacemaker figures in the future. Perfect. Now we got to talk about the Amazonian elephant in the room, which is the released, not released, the announced Batman versus Superman: Yawn of Justice, Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman by InArt. Now InArt is the higher quality figures that have recently started coming out, giving Hot Toys a run for their money. These guys go all out to give you a premium experience when it comes to these 1/6 scale figure collecting. What are my initial thoughts on this figure? Let's go over what she comes with. Wonder Woman doesn't need much. She comes with a magnetic base without a flight pole, so you could just plop her there. And I don't know how she's going to do in action poses, but a nice museum pose will work just fine, I guess. Full array of hands, most likely a die-cast sword. Knowing how InArt rolls, we won't know until somebody specifies. The lasso of truth, as well as her battle shield. Um, the one thing I don't, the one thing that's just bothering me is that the likeness to Gal Gadot is off by a millimeter. It's off. Is the nose is a little too pronounced. I don't know what it is. She looks, it's like an uncanny valley thing. She looks off. I think it's her nose. I honestly think the nose is a little too pronounced for Gal. Maybe it's the shadow. I don't know. Maybe sometimes they light these things weird, but that's the only thing that's throwing this figure off. If you look at the image, and we're gonna go ahead and roll into just a breakdown of this figure. It's seamless. This is a seamless experience. The arms are seamless, the legs are seamless. I promise you that's leather, knowing InArt. Um, Separate moving eyes, fully wooled hair. They do hair excellently. Just the details in the suit. Everything is a banger, but that face, man, I think the nose is off. There's something off about it. I can't call it, but that's the only thing keeping me from telling you to just run out and buy this. And I don't I haven't invested in an art figure yet. So they haven't come up with a character that's going to make me jump out of bed. You know what I mean? Like, they're very specific with their launches, and it's been primarily like Harry Potter and Snyderverse. Okay, still looks okay. Then that's the thing, Bradley, is that this figure is probably going to cost upwards to $500 or $600. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that kind of investment, it can't just be okay. It has to be, for this. This is a down payment on a car. This is a glorified action figure. So I think they just need to work on the face a little bit, like just dial it in a little bit. Everything else on this thing is perfect. The hair I think the hair looks great. I love the attention to detail when it comes to the metal bits. I promise you it's die cast. The leather looks like it's going to be genuine leather. The seamless body, the porous skin, it looks like a human being. It just doesn't look like Gal Gadot, and that's my only gripe with it right now. Um, so what I recommend is give it time. The thing about InArt is that usually their final products are better than their prototypes. Usually they hear the community when there's ever something that's like a gripe like this, and they lock in. They can say, okay, we may postpone it for a year or two, but when this does come out, it's going to look perfect. They've done it every single time. So I think they'll hear out. I don't think this is coming out anytime soon. That's another thing about InArt that's kind of like, it's just that their figures take forever to get in your hand. Um, so I think this one is still has some time in the, uh, put it back. It's not done yet. I think this figure still has some time in the oven. And I think once they're ready to roll it out, she's going to look perfect. And then people are going to have to make decisions because we just got a Batman 2.0 from Batman Yawn of Justice. We have the InArt Superman. So if you really want a trilogy, if you really want the Trinity for you Snyder heads out there, I think this is going to be a must buy because if you already have the InArt Superman, you have the Batman 2.0 that just came out from Hot Toys, you're going to have to get this to get the Trinity. So would I recommend this? Yes. I just say give it time. I think they're still fine tuning the figure. I think they're still going to be kind of keeping an eye on things and sharpening it up. But I think this is a damn beautiful figure. Another home run from InArt outside of the likeness. I think the likeness just can be used a little bit tightening. But other than that, I'm pretty high on this figure once again. All right. Now for something completely different. Um, they just released the Artisan Black Widow from Iron Man 2. This was one of the Artisan figures that was sold, I want to say mid last year. The thing about Artisan figures is that they're usually in very short supply. So they sell these for about 2,000 are only going to get shipped out, sometimes 3,000. I think this one was like 1,500 in the world. So needless to say, a lot of people are going to be salty because they don't have one. What are my initial thoughts? I think the likeness to ScarJo is really, really strong in this figure. Um, I think that the hair is needs a little bit more futzing, but I think that's not a figure issue. That is a photographer issue. I think they could have done something a little bit more. The hair looks a little sparse in these other couple of picks, but I think the likeness is absolutely there. I think the bespoke body for Scarlett Johansson is on the left looks absolutely insane. This one also comes with a magnetic base. Yeah, I think this one looks really, really, really good. She comes with the Iron Man armor hand from Iron Man 2. She comes with all of her guns, full array of hands. I think this one is a home run. I'm kind of salty that I didn't get this one, but wouldn't fit anywhere in my display. And as a collector, these are things that you have to think of. So with these artisan figures, the big thing about artisan is they come with rooted hair. It's not plastic hair. You can be able to play with it and make sure it looks just fine for your pose. The one that the thing that's getting me is the image on the far upper left where she's shooting out the Iron Man repulsor blast and her eyes are kind of cocked to the side. That looks really good. She looks really pissed off of that picture. But there's other pictures, whereas like the one directly below it, that pose makes it looks a little toyish. You know what I'm saying? The proportions look off just a little bit. So I think that with this figure, it's going to take some futzing a little bit to get her to look exactly as lifelike as possible. But I think that the suit looks good. I think the tailoring looks good. I think that's pleather too. So you have to be careful when you're bending stuff like that. It may actually cause damage to the actual figure. So just if you have this one in hand, just be careful. Don't put her in too big of a dynamic pose because you may go back to repose it and had all her arms and stuff like that jacked up. So just be careful on that when it comes to posing Little Miss Widow here. Would I recommend this one? Would I buy it? I would buy it. I think this is the definitive Scarlett Johansson when it comes to Marvel. Outside of I wish her Infinity War look got this treatment, got the artisan treatment with this head sculpt because I just like that suit design better. But if you have a Iron Man 2 armor, this is the perfect figure to pair it with. Because you get, oh man, have Iron Man 2 Iron Man with the extremist shield and the Iron Man 2 War Machine with this ScarJo would be absolutely bonkers. It would be so sick. that would be the perfect shelf for me. And I would actually hunt down those figures to make that look possible. Um, because I think she looks so great, and Hot Toys doesn't miss when it comes to Iron Man armors. So the Iron Man 2 Iron Man still stands up, as well as the War Machine, the Rhodey, the James Rhodes. That armor still looks amazing. So those three on the shelf would just be killer. Um, that being said, yeah, I absolutely highly recommend this one. Who would you pair with her? Yeah, um, I do think we're on a bit of a delay, but yeah, Bradley. Definitely, I would pair the Iron Man from Iron Man 2 as well as the War Machine from Iron Man 2. Um, I've seen the Whiplash floating around out there, but it's a pretty dated figure. It doesn't look as good as the Iron Man or War Machine, so I would just keep it to those three. Have her, War Machine, and Iron Man on shelf with the proper armors for that circa MCU. Chef's kiss. It would be absolutely dope. That's pretty much who I would um, frame her with if you were going to be posing it on a shelf. But with this hair, with that dialed in look, and I think with the right pose, this could absolutely be. I would pair with Nick Fury. Absolutely. Um, the only problem with the Nick Fury figure is that it's super old and it's super hard to find. Like I was kind of looking for a Nick Fury a while back. I think I was looking for the most newest Nick Fury. It's like from Avengers 1, I think. They haven't made another Nick Fury in a super long time, Bradley. Um, and that's another character that one needs to come back to Marvel because Nick Fury hasn't had a really big role since, I would say, Secret Invasion, but nobody counts that. But yeah, she would go great with a Maria Hill. She would go great with Nick Fury, and she would go great with Tony. She would absolutely go great with a Tony Stark. Um, so yeah, I think there's plenty of flexibility when it comes to this look for Wanda Maximoff. So yeah, this is one of the figures that I'm super high on. If you could get it, congratulations. And if you're looking for it, Godspeed, because this bad boy is going to be expensive. All right, and now for something absolutely completely different. So been a bit of a slow week when it comes to 1/6 scale collecting, but the show must go on. So I was like, okay, let me step out of 1/6 scale collecting and go into something a bit more manageable, going into another completely different size. And I saw that this guy was announced, which kind of scratched my Mike G brain because it's Spider Man, specifically from the Marvel versus Capcom series. This is a 12 scale figure, which is like a standard action figure size, made by the team Gamerverse. They've been coming out with a couple of these Marvel versus Capcom inspired figures. There is a Cyclops floating around out there, and I believe there's a Venom as well. And I think there's even an Iron Man with the proton cannon. But this is the latest one that's specifically from Marvel versus Capcom series, Marvel superheroes, all that good stuff. What are my first impressions of this figure? One, I like a figure that is posable. And as you can see from all the different cuts and lines and bendables, yeah, this figure is going to be able to do anything you want. I think it's a super cool Spider-Man figure. It has the colors right. It even comes with a little Spidey sense on the top of his head. And you can see him doing the his ultimate web throw move from Marvel versus Capcom. And for anybody who knows me, that's like my favorite video game of all time. Cool, yeah. This figure looks sick. I like this better than any Mafex. I like it better than any other brand out there, just because it's Marvel versus Capcom. You know what I mean? So we're gonna just go ahead and look a bit further into the Spidey, and of course they feed us with the perfect poses, right? So if you've ever played a Capcom game, you're very familiar with the pose to the upper left because that is his idle stance where he's rocking back and forth. This one's for JJ, all that good stuff, right? He's doing spider sting on the bottom right hand side. And of course, he's going into that web throw just to show you the articulation of this figure. I'm very impressed with this Spider-Man, and this could be your Spider-Man if you're 112 scale collecting, because I mean he fits all the monikers, right? The giant lenses, the bright, vibrant colors, and the flexibility to pose them. The only thing that I am that's not a takeaway from me is that he needs more webbing. He needed like a web throw, or even the prop of the webbed up camera. This one's for JJ. Like I would have loved a bit more accessories with this guy, but I don't think it's that expensive. Maybe it's like a 30-40 buck figure, so you get what you pay for. You know what I mean? But overall, this one did catch my eye, and if I and I'm starting to kind of dive into 112 because they're a bit more on the inexpensive side. So this may be my Spider-Man. I may have to go hunt this guy down, just because I like the flexibility, and I'm curious to see what kind of poses I can get him in, and maybe even build some dioramas around him. You know what I mean? Get the Venom, the blue Venom. That would be cool. Him doing the point. You know what I mean? That would be pretty sick. To match him up with that Venom from Marvel vs. Capcom as well. This is some. This one is super strange, but this is a collector's market. This is a specific 1/6 scale Stephen Curry made by Infinity Studios 1/6 scale figure. Now you may be wondering, why is there a basketball player on Figured It Out? That's not very nerdiverse, but it's a figure. It is 1/6 scale, and it's for what it is. It doesn't look that bad in regards to Steph's likeness. Um, Funny enough, there is a whole industry of sports. What's the word I'm looking for? Sports 1/6 scale figures. So you can get a Kobe Bryant, you can get a LeBron James, a Michael Jordan. There's just certain influential basketball players that do have 1/6 scale figures, and I guess Steph was the next one online. This is the newest figure, and I figured we can do something a bit different here at Figured It Out. What's cool about this guy is that he comes with two different looks. He comes with two different jerseys, three different jerseys. Now that I look at it, he comes with the away jersey. He comes with two throwback jerseys. Super neat. You know what I mean? Um, he comes with trophies. He comes with different hands. Of course, a basketball, different sneaks. This is a pretty good, I would say, package for what needs to come with a basketball player. As I mentioned before, the likeness isn't in art quality. This is called a spade a spade. The likeness is not. I would say it's kind of almost at Hot Toys level. He doesn't. I don't think he has rolling eyes or anything that advanced. But I think if you're looking for and he comes with two different head sculpts, the more stoic face and the smiley face when he's doing the night night. Um, I think you get a lot of bang for your buck with this figure, and that's kind of like my initial thought. You get three different jerseys, multiple hands, so you can have them doing different things. Um, Posing him seems to be no problem. There are visible joints. There are no seamless arms or legs, but that's more of a premium Hot Toys thing. But if you're looking for collecting like memorable basketball players, I think that this is an interesting avenue you can go down if you don't want to collect the capes or the Star Warses or the movies. You say, I want a small Michael Jordan on my desk, or a Kobe, or a LeBron, or in this case, a Steph. Now, I've never been a big fan of Steph Curry. He's not really one of my favorite basketball players, but I am a collector, and I do admire the artistry that's on display here. And I also admire what they give you. I think this guy is loaded, so you can pretty much change him up every season. It'll be a different pose, a different jersey, a different figure. So I'm all for that. I wish Hot Toys would do that more, give us different looks for our characters. They do it sometimes, like with my Kenobi Vader back there. It can be battle damaged or clean. Happens sometimes. Even with my RoboCop, he has a battle damaged piece, but it's not a full change out jersey. That's kind of insane. I wonder how that works. Um, so yeah, I'm really into this type of thought process when it comes to I would say basketball or even sports 1/6 scale. I even think there's some football player 1/6 scales out there, but I haven't seen them yet. I'm still fairly new to the hobby. So, yeah, very interesting stuff. Um, Curious to see what you guys think about this Steph Curry figure. Like I said, maybe the capes in the space, faring characters or the more fantastical things aren't your bad, but you wouldn't mind having a Steph on your desk or a Shaq. I don't think there's a Shaq. Shaq would be kind of crazy. I'm surprised he hasn't marketed himself in that fashion. But yeah, if this is your cup of tea, more power to you. I do know they're on Sideshow right now. There's a certain percentage off of them. Like he does a discount. So go ahead and take advantage of that discount. All right. We have hit the question section of Figured It Out, where I just ask some just general questions that I'm just going to kind of discuss. And if you would like to ask a question in chat, or if you'd like to ask a question in the future in a comment, let me know what your thoughts are on these two talking pieces. And the first talking piece is, why not more horror 1/6 scale figures? And it's something I've always wondered, that none of the big companies really jump on horror. I I know that Sideshow kind of does it from time to time. They have a 1/6 scale Jason Voorhees, specifically from Friday the 13th 3. They have a Freddy Krueger, and I even think they have a Michael Myers. But I don't think Hot Toys really delves into horror figures ever, outside of like science fiction, like the aliens and predators. But maybe I'm too young in the actual industry where I can remember them doing a ghost face or a leather face for that matter, or even a Jason. I would love to see a Hot Toys Jason Voorhees. What would that look like? Or a, Freddy Krueger with rolling eyes and just like die cast gloves, and that would be sick. I don't know why these companies really don't steer into horror, because I guess horror is such a, even after all these decades and decades, horror is still such a niche, um I would say, part of cinema that is hard to invest in. But then you have a movie like Scream that makes $1 billion over the franchise, or let's say like Saw. Who wouldn't want a 1/6 scale, um 1/6 scale, I would say, Jigsaw. I do know they did a Pennywise. They did a Pennywise the Clown from It way back when. But that kind, and Inart did one as well. But it's very few and far between that we get 1/6 scale horror figures. And as a horror fan myself, I'm just waiting for them to give me a Freddy Krueger that I can pair with my Jason Voorhees back there. So I asked the question, why not more horror 6 scale figures? Why do you think that the industry is just kind of sheepish, pulling the trigger on some of these more larger franchises like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street? But I guess nowadays those horror movies aren't in. It would be the newer horror movies. Like what what particular horror franchises are big right now outside of like the Insidiouses, and the Conjurings? But what figures could we get from them? The lipstick demon from Insidious, I guess, would be pretty sick. You know what I mean? Um, that's about it I can think about, you know what I mean, in regards to like new age horror that would fit in a figure form. So I asked the question, why do you think there's not many 1/6 scale horror fans? Horror 1/6 scale horror figures is really my big question. So let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions on that matter. Also, one thing I would like to just talk about for a second is, how do I display my figures? I get this a lot for people who are kind of wanting to jump into the hobby. And like, Mike, how do you approach displaying your figures? How do you show them off? And it really depends on your end game, no pun intended, of what do you want to, how many figures do you want? If you just want one and done, you just say, I want my Iron Man on my desk at work, and I'm super happy with that. What's the best thing I can get? And there's plenty of options out there. You can get module cases like this, where you can have plenty of space to show off your figures however you like in any kind of configuration. Mind, mind you, these shelves are very expensive and they take a very long time to get to where you are. But from everyone I've heard who have these module case space, who has the space for these and has these cases, absolutely love them. They're like, yeah, this is like museum quality display cases that you won't have to worry about them falling or breaking. They're going to be perfectly fine. Or if you're a younger, I would say a newer collector like me, as you can see in the back, I do have display cases, but they're not as, I would say, polished as these. Like my display cases don't have glass. They're just kind of out, and I have to dust my figures, which is very annoying. But I haven't upgraded my display cases to have that. I do have certain figures in glass, like my Batman's back there. Those are glass because just I wanted to make sure those had museum quality cover because Batman's my favorite hero of all time. So those get special treatment. But I want to do the same with these figures with my other collectibles, so I don't have to worry about dust and things like that. So if you're looking to go into collecting and you would like to display your figures a certain way, my biggest suggestion is two different places you can go. One, you can go to IKEA. IKEA has great display cases that you build yourself, and they're fairly inexpensive. They come in glass. You can add lights. You can do all that stuff, but you have to be near IKEA. You have to want to brave an IKEA to get your display cases. Module cases you have to order through their company, and like I said, this is like museum level display cases. Like unload a shotgun and you may just scratch the glass. But the other option I would recommend for starting off collectors is Amazon. Amazon is great for display cases. Both of these display cases, actually, all of my display cases I have come from Amazon, Amazon.com. So you kind of base it off your space, you base it off your collection size, and honestly, plan ahead, base it off the collection size that you want. Honestly, I've hit a wall in my space. I don't have space for any other figures. So collecting is kind of in a funky space for me right now because I need to get a bigger area to display my figures. Or retire old figures for the new ones I want. So space is absolutely how a factor when it comes to displaying your figures, and as well as just how much space do you have and how many figures do you want to collect at the end of the day. You're still a collector if you just have one. You collected that one, one of one. Or if you have 500, it just nothing qualifies you or disqualifies you as being a part of this community. Don't let anybody tell you different. That being said, I think this is a good discussion for a lot of people who are trying to find their way in figure collecting. I want them to, because my thing is I want it to look nice. I don't want it to look like just a bunch of things sitting on my desk. I want it to be present. I want my collection to be presentable. I want it to be clean, and I want it to be uniform. I want it to tell a story. That's why I'm very big on um, pairing. I'm very big on individual selves. I want there to be cohesiveness in my collection, and not just be a bunch of action figures that I'm holding up. Hey, look at my stuff. No, I want it to look cool and make sense. And that's my approach. Everybody's approach is different, but for me, it's the same thing with posters. I can't just put a poster on the wall. I have to frame it, make it look nice, respect the investment. And I think a good display case is a very respectable and smart addition to your collection to keep them nice, to keep them in a certain place, and to keep them overall and to extend their life as well. A good display case is going to extend the life of your figure twice, almost three times as much versus having it out in the elements or just being knocked over or coffee spilt on it and all types of wild stuff. So just be mindful of that when you're starting collecting anything. Maybe statues like these or 1/6 scale figures. Respect the investment. Absolutely. Perfect. With that, we have hit the end of our episode this evening. Want to thank Bradley for stopping by and saying what's up. Kind of keeping me company here on this hot ass Saturday night, talking 1/6 scale figures. just what's going on the channel. Me and Wash will absolutely be back for MOT Masters of the Nerdiverse for the new episode Friday nights at 6 p.m. We do have some shorts going out on YouTube next week. And the week after that, we're bringing back MOTN lore. Very excited about that. For the lore, we're going to be doing Halo. We're going to be doing the lore of the Halo array. We're talking Master Chief. We're going to be talking the Battle of Reach. We're going to go way into some Halo. So I'm very excited to talk that with Wash. With that being said, if you do like this content, once again, please subscribe to our channel so that you are made aware when new episodes do go live and go out. Please like our content because that helps the algorithm grab us and put more eyeballs on our content. I just wish I can be a bigger part of this community. I'm working damn hard to find my way and to earn my keep. And lastly, comment. Let us know how this episode went. Were these any of these figures ones that you want to pick up? Were these all garbage? I would love to know how you feel one way or another. I've of course been Master of the Nerdiverse Collector, Mike G. This has been MOTN Figured It Out. Collect what you love what you collect. MOTN. Deuces. Out. Take care, everybody.